Virgo, this 2023 is going to start. Well, it did start. It's going to end in October. Why? Because of Mercury retrograde in Virgo. And when Mercury is literally in its home area, because in my personal opinion, Mercury is ruled with Virgo. Like Virgo, Mercury, boom. Secondary to that would be Gemini. But I really do think, just from my study, that Mercury and Virgo is like the Mercury sign. Why? Because that's the reason why we have communication to reality in the first place, right? And the reason why I want to talk about Mercury and Virgo, I saw butterflies though, but the reason why I want to talk about Mercury and Virgo, in a way that's like real early and direct to y'all, is because we're going to have it go retrograde. I believe it's August 23rd off the top of my head. But in the later end of August and from now until then, my biggest suggestion for everybody with this Mercury and Virgo is start to see and allow yourself to see the places where you're great at, and also the places and the spaces on what you can improve on, right? And I think because of this Venus retrograde in Leo as well, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on people's self-care over the next bit. And I think when people think self-care, they think, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and, meditate, or oh, I'm just going to go ahead and do this one thing. But what would self-care look like if that was a constant in your life, right? What would it look like for self-care if that was a part of your natural routine? Something that was so integrated in you that you don't even think about. That's Mercury and Virgo at its height, right? Because when Mercury and Virgo as a placement, especially if you have this placement, you're really able to pinpoint and see specifics that other people aren't seeing. This is the person that goes to the birthday party and they're like, yo, you literally picked the wrong color. And they're like, what do you mean? They're like, this is the wrong hex code. Want to double check this? And everyone's like, what's a hex code anyway, right? Mercury and Virgo has the ability to see past what's just kind of put in front, and also allows you to see what's underneath what's already shown in front of you. And so when Mercury and Virgo makes this transition as a phase and as a time frame, right? Someone said when your sun, moon, and Mercury is in Virgo. But that's what I mean. It's you have this uncanny ability to be able to see the in-betweens of things, right? The hey, this one thing that's off, hey, this is gotta move this over. The little stuff like that happens is what Virgo energy is about. The reason why I want to, like I said, talk about it so early is because this retrograde that will come up, most Mercury retrogrades, I definitely am on the oh, it's just Mercury retrograde, you'll be okay. This Mercury retrograde, I agree with that, but I think it's going to be difficult for people who aren't willing to see those in-between points, right? I think it's going to be the willingness of when the universe shows you and reveals to you the next part of the path. When the universe shows you what's going on in front of you, are you choosing to take that up? Are you choosing to go ahead and start to work and develop on that? Or are you going to ignore it like you normally would on a day-to-day? I'll get to this later. I'll get to that at some point. I'll get to that at some, and then it never happens, right? Or when it does happen, it happens much later on. I have a Virgo friend who has this quote that they love saying as much as possible, which is when it comes to opportunity, it either comes too soon or too late, right? When it comes to opportunity, it's either too soon or too late. What does that mean? On one end, if it's too soon, then it's oh shoot, here's this big opportunity. Oh no, I didn't do the work to prepare for this, right? That's you not taking any pictures. You're oh, I'm a photographer, but you haven't taken any pictures in the last few months. Now someone's hey, let's start this wedding. Or I need you to shoot a wedding. You're oh, I don't think I'm prepared. I haven't shot anything in a while, right? And so on the flip end, I got you with the question in a second. On the flip end, right, when it's too late, you're well, I just knew I had to work on this, and I've been working really hard. And it's yeah, but the wedding just passed, or it's about to be tomorrow. We already picked up 3 different people. Sorry, you had your chance, right? So when it comes to this opportunity, too soon, too late, I think that's going to be a huge theme for this Mercury retrograde. So what do you do to prepare as we enter this Mercury retrograde? This Mercury phase in Virgo, which just started, right? Is to just do the little things. Do the stuff that sucks. Like, I hate to say it, but it's like in doing the little things and doing the stuff that sucks, that's when reality starts to actually gift you with all that other manifestation stuff that most people try to talk about. I'm going to get to the Venus. So retrograde is happening right now. The most important one that's actually impacting us, just because of the close and the proximity to it, is actually Venus retrograde. And I've talked about Venus retrograde in length in the last 2 live streams that I did. So if you haven't seen those, definitely check that out. And I also have my ebook on Venus, where I have a section where I talk about Venus retrograde as well. If y'all want me to do an ebook on Mercury retrograde, please make sure that you leave some love, show a comment after this, show a like, all that stuff, because I can write that out. But at least when it comes to Venus retrograde, what's happening now, in Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde will be meeting, right? So one of the things to mention with Venus retrograde is, like, this is a self-confidence time frame. This is the kind of time frame where it's like, it doesn't matter what people say to you. Someone can sit there and be like, oh my God, you are the perfect human being to ever exist. And Venus retrograde will be like, yeah, but I don't feel that though. Right? Like, you know, those friends that are like clearly like super great at something, or they're like gorgeous or whatever the case is. And you're like, oh my God, you look so great. And they're just like, I could have looked better today. It's like, and no one's thinking about that. The reason why this Venus retrograde in Leo is so challenging for a lot of people is because, like, you have to internalize that first for yourself, right? And it's a brand of self-love that ends up happening. A lot of people, even in regards to my work, right? They're like, oh, you're so confident. You're so this, that, and the third. I'm like, I just choose to love myself every day a little bit more and just, like, accept that for what it is, and accept my gifts or my ability to be able to tell you all about the astrology as, like, yeah, like, I really have helped people. I just got out of a reading literally like an hour or 2 ago. It's 222 where I'm at. Much love, that's dope. But I just got out of a reading like a bit ago, and we got to like really get into the in-betweens for them, and just like seeing that, oh shoot, like the change, right? And that's a key too to knowing your astrology. It's like, these are my heights, these are my downfalls. These are the things I'm great at, these are the things I'm not so great at. And Mercury in Virgo is going to show and expose to you what those things are. But for Venus retrograde right now, that's the reason why it's like, there's some people that are like, oh, this feels like Leo season, but it doesn't really feel like Leo season, right? So self-confidence is the game during this phase. Absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself. But it's not just self-confidence, like, I think people get confused bravado and just confidently showing up somewhere. And I think that has a lot to do with the society. At least if you're in America, I know my international people be here too. But for at least the people that live in America and stuff, we're so taught to like tap into the ego, right? And I'm not talking about the ego. The ego is always going to be like there and present no matter what you do, because the ego is the role that you play. So your sun sign is a role that you just play in life, and it's going to show up in different ways, but that's what the rest of your chart is for. What I mostly mean by this, right, when it comes to the self-confidence, it's not self-confidence, it's self-love. It's like allowing yourself to love yourself when you make a mistake. It's allowing yourself to love yourself when you do something good. It's allowing yourself to just like give yourself a hug, if you will, during those time frames where things are tough, right? It's all about self-love and self-care. Self-love and self-care is Venus retrograde, and self-care is Mercury retrograde. And so when people get really up in arms about retrogrades, they're like, oh my God, everything's going to be so bad. It's going to be so like too. It's like, you're scared of self-improvement. You're scared of looking at yourself. You are scared of your own shadow. That's all it is. That's all it is. Someone was like, oh man, tarot, I saw some posts that pissed me off. I mentioned it before, but it was like, oh no, tarot is shadow work. Like, all this stuff is like shadow work. It's like, if there's anything that you have to do to dig deep down to bring something out, that's shadow work, right? People's pain many of the times is the modality in the side that they use towards other people's healing and their own healing. And one of the things that I really am starting to reference is that most people don't start healing for real until not they heal themselves, but they accept the wounds that exist within them, right? And that's where it's like, for example, one of those labors, at least on my end, right, is that when I was coming up trying to learn astrology, I had to like sneak into a Barnes & Noble. I had to like go ahead and just like read through all the books that I could, or like whatever the case is, right? And so what did I do? I was like, okay, so let me make an astrology 101 guide from an astrologer who's been doing this for 5 years, using the notes that I've had for years. Let me put this together, throw it out for people. So the people that really want to learn, hey, there's an astrology ebook out right now. Also, I have a bunch of free ones on my website if you've never been there. Bunch of free of them if you want to get a consultation. I have my hour consultations, and I've talked to a handful of people saying like, hey, I'm a student, hey, money's tight, etc. So I actually made a special reading for you all, which is like $100. I think it's like 111 at most. And that's going to be specifically a destiny reading. So we're getting into the main parts of your chart. We're getting into your destiny nodes. We're getting into those kind of things that are really core to you, just so everyone has a little bit more access to the astrological knowledge. Because I think when people really get to learn that for themselves, their whole world changes. And I think Mercury in Virgo is going to actually help people tap into that, right? Let me just double check the comments. My bad. I'm going off. Much love. I feel like shadow work's been coming up a lot lately for me personally. Shadow work is my bad. Shadow work is hard stuff. Sorry, IG. But the key is the growth, right? Please read the ebooks because they help me understand. Let's go. But you know, the whole purpose of the ebooks is for them to be like perfect reference guides. Like the rest of the stuff that you see, that interpretation that you feel, that's correct. The guides are just there when you look back and you're like, wait, I just want to make sure. That's what those are for. So please use that looking at your chart. It's going to change a lot. I promise you that. What is shadow work? I'm sorry, I don't know a lot. No, that's all good. Shadow work in and of itself, and as simple as we can put it, without the jargon, without throwing up all the witchy stuff per se, like, which if you do that too, perfect, right? But shadow work in and of itself is just like, yo, not every emotion that I have is inherently positive. Sometimes I get really upset about these things. Every once in a while, maybe there's like a feeling of like, I don't know, like envy, or there's a feeling of like, oh, I hate this, or like when you start to address those things, right? When you start to realize, yo, where is this coming from, right? I actually had a great conversation the other day with a double water sign. They were Cancer, Sun, and Moon, right? Shout out to them if you're watching this. But we were having a conversation, and I was literally asking, because I'm like, how does it feel with like the water stuff, right? And they were explaining how like coming up, when they were first learning astrology, if someone was like, you know, when you learn astrology more, you realize that everybody has a different piece of the zodiac in their chart. So when people are like, I don't have this in my chart, it's like, yes, you do. You just don't know how that works. And the whole principle of really learning astrology is to access all the elements in it, realize all the places where these things impact you, and then you start to like really live in your experience. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you meet and you run across somebody, if you know your astrology, you run across somebody and you're like, I'm not getting along with this person. I just don't know what's going on. Then you look to see, oh, that's their sun sign. Oh, that's their rising sign. It's like, oh, they're triggering a part of me, right? Because when a real mastery in astrology is genuinely realizing that everything that's happening is a reflection of you and vice versa. Right? It's the great equalizer of like your ego. It's like these things were put in place before you came through. The free will exists, but the talents and skills and all the like specific gifts and powers that you have, you're born with. And it's literally just what you end up doing with it that creates either the good side of things or the bad side of things. And where does that start? Awareness. Now listen to everything I just said to you in the last bit. Some of y'all might be like, oh, he's offhand. No, that's Mercury in Virgo, right? That makes sense. It's make it make sense. That's Mercury in Virgo. And so when Mercury in Virgo goes retrograde, that make it make sense ability is going to start to become off for people, right? And that's the important part. What is my zodiac sign? Guess. I never tell people on my lives my zodiac sign. That's just going to be my thing. But you can guess, though. And if anyone else knows, whatever, you can tell it. But, in another live, you said, what if it's not light versus shadow, but instead it's all you and it's about knowing yourself and integrating the different parts of yourself? I felt that. Shout out to Obey Persephone. And that's like for real, that does your guide help you interpret your chart? Yes. Ultimately, yes, it does. And it helps you interpret any chart that you look at because like you have to go and find the symbols. That's one thing I made sure to do. You have to find the symbols. You have to know that part, but all the information is there. All the information is there on purpose. So just to let you know, it's set up that way on purpose to make you actually like look, because I'm just like that, and I'm a Sag, because that makes sense now. But the guide does help. But to get back to the other part, what if it's not light and shadow and it's just you? That's the real reality of it. And I think people, like, there's some people that I follow and they follow me, right? And like, I adore their work and everything else. But I'm like, yo, some people can't, like, the spiritual miracle vibe is like, you can't admit that you hurt. Like, you can't admit that you're like actually dealing with something. Because I see people and they're like, oh, I just want this. And like, it just didn't happen, but the universe didn't want that. It's like, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be upset. You don't have to spiritual miracle your way out of feeling a human emotion that defeats the human experience. You get what I'm saying? When you saw Angel, I don't know what you're saying right now. A second. I have Mercury in Virgo and Mercury is in retrograde. I'm so sad. Honestly, for you, sorry, I don't want to pronounce it incorrectly, but SAR. So if you have Mercury retrograde and you're sad now, wait until the actual Mercury retrograde, because sidebar, and I tell people when I do readings for them, if you have Mercury retrograde native in your chart, during Mercury retrogrades, when everyone else is freaking out, that is your time to turn up. Just to let y'all know, that is your time to take those 3 weeks and smash them out the park, because then everything else is working how your brain normally works. And usually when you're looking at everyone else being like, this is taking so much time to process, that's the whoop-de-doop that happens there. You know what I mean? Team Sag, for sure. Where's the guide? Because I'm beating myself up. It's literally in the description. So if you look in the description, you look onto my storefront, it's the Stand Store one. If you look at that, if you just like scroll down past things, I have like a bunch of free stuff right in the middle. So if you just go ahead and look at that, I have a bunch of free ebooks from learning your rising sign, from learning your destiny point, learning your Venus, which is what most people really want to know. They're like, what do I like in relationships? Like, what can I do for them to like me? That's what that book's for. But those are free if you want to check those out. So shadow work is just accessing the more unconscious parts of ourselves. Yes. Does that mean that it's inherently bad? No. Because if you look at, all right, ready? If you look at the course of human history, I'm going to get there. We're going to go there for a hot minute, right? If we look at the course of the best Venus to have, respectfully, but if you look at the course of human history, right? It be dark. It be dark. Why? Because they didn't have the consciousness level that we have now. Like, the morality of a lot of things that pop up in our society is relatively new. PC culture of like, hey, you can't say that word, hey, you can't do that thing, didn't start until 2016. 2016. That is less than 10 years ago that people were like, wait, I can't say anything. Like, that was 2016. And you want to know what that took? Literal real life things happening for long enough where people were like, maybe it is wrong. Do you go into Lilith? If you don't know your chart, leave Lilith alone until you do. That's one of my biggest suggestions. I will be covering Lilith soon, but if you don't know your chart, if you don't know your big three by heart, if you don't know like at least that part, leave that other stuff alone, because Lilith and Chiron won't make sense to you until you learn your other energy. That's just that's like a real life advice, just because like I do know where it's like, oh, I heard about this Lilith thing, and like no one really talks about it. It's like, yeah, but do you know your Venus? And the only reason why I'm putting it in that capacity is because like Venus retrograde is going on right now. So it's like, if you look at your Venus and you learn those like kind of things, and you learn the intricacies of that, by the time you get to Lilith, by the time you get to Chiron, it makes perfect sense. You get what I'm saying? I know my chart by heart, but you don't know the deeper stuff. I got you. Just stay tuned, because I will be having more things moving on into the future. And I do want to do something. I want to do something special to explain the Lilith part. So just to let you know in advance. But to get back to everything that's going on, do you see all these things that I'm picking up on and having to explain? That's Mercury and Virgo. Why? And even the questions that I'm being asked right now, they're super specific. It's so specific. It's like, no, I know this part, but what about this one thing? I know this part, but what about this one thing? Oh, I get this thing, but like that one little tiny incremental difference is the make or break of Mercury and Virgo. Do you get what I'm saying? So, like, you don't know where all the houses are in it. If you go to my astrology one-on-one book, I explain the houses. One thing that everyone always talks, and I think I put it on sale too. Everyone that always talks to me is like, I don't know how the houses work. And I'm like, here's this reference. And everyone's like, so if y'all want to know how the houses work, I explain it in a way where it makes way more sense. Because the houses are low-key more important than the sign if you know what you're doing. But that's besides the point. Anyway, but once more, like I'm stating just these facts. They're just like facts coming through, right? And that's Mercury and Virgo. It's like, y'all ask the question, here's the answer. Y'all want to do this thing, here's the service. Y'all want to do this, here's that. And it's like the direct notion of just basically being like, oh, I know how to help. Here's this thing. Now, what happens during Mercury and Virgo too is that sometimes, like, let's say like you have a boss, right? And they're like one of those micromanaging boss. Mercury and Virgo is going to be mad annoying because they're going to try to micromanage their micromanaging. And it's like, yo, back off, right? And that's the downside of Mercury and Virgo, is that if you don't check yourself, you do become a micromanager. Whether that be of other people or yourself, that's what ends up happening. And so during this Mercury upcoming retrograde phase, be sure not to start to micromanage yourself in a way that's like that, right? I really don't like the notion of when people are like, oh, I need to get healthier. That means I can never eat a donut again. I think that's one of the most like unhealthy processes, is when it's like, well, I have to go, like, I can't eat this donut. I just can't eat this donut. And it's like, would that donut have just made you feel better and you would have just went on for the rest of your day? And then if like tomorrow you could just start to do better. It's like, yo, like, you don't need to, you know, even with certain diets and stuff like that, people will be like, hey, here's this fast fad diet. Here's whatever you have to do. Here's keto. Here's this. But it's like, okay, what specifically works for you? Because there's people that can go fully vegan and they look sickly and like they're not going to make it. And there's people that go, I'm only going to eat meat, and they might look sickly and everything else like that. But it's like, what is designed for you? What works for you? What have you seen your body react to when you eat this? What have you seen your like overall progress go if you did this, right? Mercury and Virgo is about finding what works for you specifically. And that's why I love doing birth chart readings, because one Libra and another Libra are entirely different people because you have a chart. One Taurus and another Taurus is an entirely different brand of Taurus because of the rest of your chart. So that's why I really don't like the, like, oh, it's just your sun sign. Even most of the times when people do horoscopes, this is Mercury and Virgo again, but it's like when people do horoscopes, they're vague. They're so vague. They're like, here's what's happening for your sign because of this. It's like, all right, like, but then someone's like, yo, that didn't happen to me. And it's like, yeah, because they didn't look at your chart. Like, they didn't get to see the details. Like, Mercury and Virgo is like, let me see the details in between, right? Someone asked earlier, they're like, are degrees important? Degrees are important once you learn the fullness of your astrology. like that's when degrees can become important, right? And another thing with Mercury and Virgo is like learning the pecking order, right? What's most important? What's not important? What's important for this? Now take those things away that don't work. And how can you get down to the simplest, most direct, most honest rendition of whatever it is that you have to say? Because it's so I can sit here and explain. I know it. Like, if I sit here and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the degree here with this, and this in this house, and this is happening with here with this element, and this element is over here with this, and then this is intercepting over here with this other thing, and now with Saturn's over. I can do that all day. But how does that serve you? How does that serve anybody unless you like literally know all the intricacies? That's the reason why I explain astrology like I do. It's the reason why when it's like real situations happening, I'm like, let me put this in a meme, because that's how I understand it. It's like, I find it funny. So like, why not find a way to make it make sense for other people and still find it funny? I was going to at first sit here and record a bunch of different reels together, but I was like, how is that going to best serve me? Mercury and Virgo, how is that going to best serve me? How is that going to best serve everybody else? Because like, I would rather have y'all in here or whoever's watching this afterward, and thank you. Please make sure to like and comment and all that stuff. I will get back to the comments. I'm working on that. It's been an interesting jump in the last bit. But the whole concept, right? And the whole yes, we love that too. Much love. But the whole concept of that is that it's like, what's going to work best? How are we going to impact the right people? What details do we have to change to end up like really helping that out, right? Maybe you're like, yo, I haven't been getting a lot of like, and this is to myself too. I haven't been, or like, you know, someone's like, yo, I haven't been getting a lot of like work coming in on my like thing. Am I doing something wrong? You might not be doing anything wrong. You might just need to change the verbiage. You might just need to make it make sense for somebody like that. Because sometimes we write stuff, especially in our age, and we're like, ha ha, lol, joke, ha ha, hee hee, hoo. And it's like, that language doesn't make sense to somebody in their 50s. But maybe that person in their 50s wants to get the reading with you. But now they're reading or like whatever service you have, and they're looking at what you're saying, and it's like, ha ha, hee hee, ha ha ha. Like, if you're watching this right now, you probably understand what I'm getting at. But they're like, I have no idea. Let me go over to the next thing. And that thing could be crap in comparison to what you have to offer. But they don't know because they didn't understand it. They didn't read it. What's up, Jem? How you doing? But like, that's the whole concept behind it. You know what I'm saying? So that's something to also keep in mind. So this Mercury and Virgo. Oh wait, someone said something else too. Great. Put in this work. Earth trying into work with this live. Level up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People are going forward and making sense. And something to point out to you. Actually, this is something really important. If someone does like a reading, or if you see something that happens and it doesn't make sense to you, it's okay that it doesn't make sense. Because there's so many people out here serving the stupidest stuff and calling it like the cure-all for whatever you're going through. And if you go and get a reading with somebody, or you go and you do something else with somebody and you feel like you've gotten less than what it's worth, that's that Mercury and Virgo going on. If you're going and you're like, hey, I'm about to pay for this person to do my website, and you pay them to do the website, and you look at the work and you're like, I definitely think I could have done better myself. That Mercury and Virgo is like, yo, you need just you know, it's just like, don't deal with that. Do I use threads? I do be on threads. I do be on threads. I'll be clowning. I'll be also spitting facts too. I don't share all my threads here because it just look ugly on Instagram. I ain't gonna lie. But if I have something that's profound enough, it'll be on the story. I'm scared to get a reading last night. For the people that are scared to get a reading, you scared of yourself. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Yeah, I said that. If you're scared to get a reading, that's because you're scared of yourself. The only reason why I'm saying that is because, like, I have people who've come up and they're like, I'm just terrified to know what's going on. I'm like, you terrified to know what power you have and how you can actively use it in real life to make the things that you want happen? I can't speak for every reader. But I do have I have a handful of people that really have gotten readings or have like sat with me. Even when I didn't even think I was good. Now I know I'm good. Don't blame me. Nah. But before, like, for real. It's like, that's a differential. You get what I'm saying? Good place to get an authentic reading in Casey on the internet, on my website. It's a Zoom call. We gonna make it happen. That's the best place to get a reading. Cause it's funny because the people that I love in this space, I always support. There's some people in this space where I'm like, y'all got this out the book. Y'all just got it out the book. Y'all don't even know what this means. It's so scary, yo. And Mercury and Virgo is going to have you start to see the difference. No, it's the wrong person. Like, I ain't scared of a reading. I'm just scared of getting scammed. If you feel that practitioner or that person has that vibe for you, that's when you go ahead. Whether that's me, whether that's somebody else. If you feel that, because there are some, and that's in every field, to be fair. But there are some people that are like, yeah, I know a few. I'll name them if I have to. But I'll name them. I'll do it. Stop. I'm live. All right. Anyway, but the idea though, right? Yeah. But the idea though, right? That's the whole thing. I'm scared to pay for a reading from people who are going to tell me a whole lot of what I already know. That's your fear. This is why I'm saying, when you get into and you start to see, right, who resonates with you, who resonates most with you over time, because there's some things that you might already know for sure, right? But the right practitioner knows how to take those things and make them stick. And if they don't know how to make them stick, then that's not a good reading. And so what advice would you give someone who wants to start learning more in depth? I have all the resources. People be asking me all the time. I'm like, literally resources, free stuff on the website. I also have a cheap, literally Astrology 101, like 120 page ebook that I put out for like $15, where it's like, here's all the information you need to know. It's like, I can be as accessible or whatever as possible. I can show y'all where it is. I can tell y'all where it's at. If y'all pull through, amazing. For those who resonate with me, love y'all, appreciate it. For those who don't, that's completely cool too. Not everybody's gonna like resonate at my level or resonate at the space where I'm at. And that's completely fine, right? Let me see one time. Someone said people fall for scams because they answer fake pages. If anyone's messaging you being like, Grand Rising, beloved, this is the finest day of your life according to my astrology. I know this because I know. That's a fake page. There's a lot of people that started making fake pages at a certain point because they were like, spiritualists do this? And then they're in their thing being like, what's your Cash App? I need to know your Cash App. Tell me your Cash App. Like, I understand. I genuinely have been in this space long enough where I know all the qualms. Like, I know all the qualms because I have those same qualms. I've had those same qualms. And it's like, for the people that I know and I have like interacted with, if you see me comment or showing love on somebody else's page, that's because I think they're legit. If I don't think so, you're not going to see it. I'm just being real, like, you're not going to see it. If you see me guessing up somebody's like astrology or page, I'm like, you're doing great, that's because I think they do a good job. For real. Or I've spoken to them and I know them and I'm like, oh, these are dope people. Because there's a lot of people that aren't. There's a lot of people that aren't. And I know a few, and I'll name them if I have to. But we're going to wait. Someone said, Mom Izzy said, just going with the flow of life because my birth chart reading from you has been amazing. Like, I hope I can take it to the next level with my birth chart reading because you're the best. I appreciate the love. Shout out to Lauren too. Just invest and get the reading, y'all. He's 100. That's what I'm saying. It's like, and I think it's one of those things too, where it's like, I know that I'm genuinely trying to serve, but back to the Mercury and Virgo point, who are the people genuinely trying to serve and who's not? And that's this upcoming time frame. That's not just in astrology. That's in everything that you do. That's in all the fashion stuff you look at. That's in all the clothing things that you look at. That's in like everything. I'm using myself as the example because I'm an Aries rising. I can do that. But for real, the genuine article is like, that's the case. You know what I'm saying? Momo said, listen to your intuition. Always, it is your higher self protecting you. Whenever something feels off or you feel maybe or a no, listen to your feelings. Bet. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't want my work because they're scared of the truth. I'm going to keep it a stack. I'm going to show you what you might fail at and what you're excel at based off the chart. And I'm going to ask you about it too. So I'm not just assuming stuff. That's what the consultation is for. It's just like a whole conversation. If y'all be like, oh man, he goes live for an hour and just talks about all this stuff. I'm like, I'm doing this without the chart up because I had it memorized. Like, come on, bro. Come on. Let me stop. Not the Grand Rising Beloved. Yes, the Grand Rising Beloved. Because I had a few at some point too. Got me that. I saw your profile pic. I saw your profile picture and I felt gravitated to tell you about these things. It's like, shut up, bro. But then again, people fall for it. And then they're like, man, all these readers are fake. And now we're like, no, it's not. You get what I'm saying? I block as soon as I see the Cash App. It's a fact though. And that's the idea. New here. What's a birth chart reading? That's an excellent question. So for anyone who doesn't know what a birth chart reading is, because there's so many new people that have come in recently, much love to y'all. Shout out to Janae and Janae Aiko and SZA. Regardless, but the idea though is that the people, I'm just saying, but the people that end up pulling through for real, right, is like the birth chart reading is essentially, you know your sun sign. Everybody that you know knows their sun sign. You can talk to the person who pretends to hate astrology, the oldest, crustiest man you can think of, being like, this astrology is BS, but I'm a Leo. Like, everybody knows their sun sign, right? Now, what people don't realize is that, And this is all, I have information on all these things, by the way, just to let y'all know. As a matter of fact, if you sign up for my email list, there's literally an hour moon sign class that I have for free that goes through every moon sign. Like, I'm really trying to get this to y'all. But the idea though, right, is that like, what's a birth chart reading? Birth chart reading is looking at your sun, your moon, your rising sign, which is also known as your ascendant, which is like your soul, right? A lot of people don't get into that. Your Mercury, which is how you communicate. Your Venus, which is how you love, you attract, how you feel. Your Mars, how you push things out into the world and how people feel your energy. Also, how you all that stuff, right? Jupiter is like your luck. How's it going there? Your Saturn is also going to be about your lessons and restrictions, but Saturn isn't known like that because people just think Saturn bad. It's like, no, just work toward your dreams every day and Saturn rewards you. It's like, these are the things that they don't talk, right? Someone asked, are Vedic charts bad or not applicable? I don't use Vedic. I did study Vedic when I first was coming into astrology, for sure. Shout out to KRS Astrology. So if you are interested in trying to learn that, what I can say about it, and to be real, shout out to my audience from India, by the way, which kind of shocked me. I was like, word? But there's because I'm like, y'all have Vedic, but they're watching my stuff. So much love to y'all. And the side note is that I've done, or like, there's been people that I talk to who are like, I only use sidereal, I only do Vedic, I only do this, and I don't believe anything else. Then I do a reading for them, and they're like, can I learn more? The more you know. Not to say that those other things are not things, because if you get a dope enough practitioner in anything, they're going to give you what the sauce is. But personally, I've just found that, like, if you live, especially in a Western civilization, tropical, I use Placidus. Some people use whole signs. I know some people that are dope that use whole signs, and I know people that use whole signs as a cop-out so they don't have to actually interpret what's going on. So it's like, and like I said, this is Mercury and Virgo. I'm being so real with y'all. I'm being so honest with y'all because that's how it is. You get what I'm saying? Thank you for the free ebooks. Your generosity doesn't go unnoticed. No, I appreciate that. But like, for real, it's like, this is, in like my journey specifically, like, it was so hard to, like, when I first was learning astrology, they didn't have any information about like 9 signs. If you looked it up online, they only talked about like 3 signs for real. And they were even wrong. You get what I'm saying? So like, for me to at least be able to take some of my work over the past 5 years and to be able to like condense it to give y'all in some like books to read or resources or things to just look back and forth at, you know, I love to do that. And I want to make one for Mercury Retrograde before that happens too. So be on the lookout for that. And if I do put out an ebook, they're going to be relatively cheap just because, like, you know, don't even worry. If you don't know about Vedic, don't even worry about that. You know what I'm saying? So just like literally don't even worry about that. Just follow what resonates most with you. There's always more. And that's the problem, is that when you start thinking that there's always more, you're never going to learn the basics of something and master it. So there's people that are like, I love astrology, human design, gene keys, all this, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, all right, so what's your main thing? And they're like, oh, I don't know all of them. And it's like, for some people, that makes sense. I know a Gemini that does that. And I know that they know a bunch of all the other parts, right? But not everyone's built like that. I'm like, yo, you want to know what? I'm here to master astrology in this time frame. So that's what I'm finna do. Do I know how to do tarot? Yes. Do I know how to do this? Yes. But when you find that main thing and start going for it, Mercury and Virgo, when you find that main thing and start, shout out to whoever hit the purchase on that. Appreciate you. Just look at the email right now. But the idea though, right? Mercury and Virgo wants you to say, hey, this looks so extra. Let's cut all that out and actually learn what's important. Because you want, and this is the perfect tie-in to kind of like start to wrap this up. It's a Bruce Lee quote, who was a Sagittarius. So I hate when they were trying to say, they're like, no, he's actually a Scorpio. No, he's not. He's a Sag. He's a freaking Sag. Just to let y'all know. Regardless, Bruce Lee had this quote, and it was like, I'm not scared of a man that has mastered 1,000 punches. I'm scared of the man that has mastered, or that has done a one punch 1,000 times. And that goes over people's heads now because we're just scrolling on the internet and just finding random stuff all the time. And we're just like, oh, this is funny. Like, oh, I just became an expert on rocket science in 2 different scrolls because I looked up something on TikTok. We live in an interesting time. But the real part to it, right, is that like with the Mercury and Virgo portion is like that person that masters that one punch 1,000 times can't mess it up because they have already developed those details within themselves, right? But the person that learned 1,000 things, they're like, well, here's this, and this move, and this move. And then they get their whole thing rocked because they're trying to learn everything else at the same time. When you find that thing that works, when you find a thing that like really resonates with you and you choose to go about it in a way where you take that bit by bit by bit by bit, and it's no rush. It's no rush. When you find that thing, like so many people are trying to be like, yo, like, let me get famous off this. Yo, and I understand I was there at a certain point. I didn't know how to make a reel or a TikTok at all last year. At all. You can ask anybody that I know. I was freaking out. I was like, how do I do this? How do I do this? Oh my God, so many things. Now people are like, hey, how do you edit your videos? And I'm like, I literally can't tell you that. Not because I can't tell you, but because it took me a year to figure out how to do this. And that's Virgo. It's like if you just take something bit by bit at a time, you start to develop what's actually going on. You get what I'm saying? A beautiful quote, and of course the Sagittarius said it. You know, we got some points sometimes. Let me stop. But coming into my 40th season next month, Leo Sun. The ebooks are on point and a beautiful reminder. And that's what it's for. That's why I'm like, here's this free. Hey, what's up, Steven? Much love. Happy Leo season. But that's the reason why I'm like, yo, here's the ones for free. And the ones that I know I'm like crazy on, I'm going to have a little bit of a payment for, but it's going to be like probably less than like $30 for whatever I end up putting up. Because it's like, yo, you have that forever. You know what I'm saying? A meal, I live in LA. A meal is $20 or more to just eat. So you're paying for like, oh man, I just got some food. And now I have like internal resource guide knowledge for the rest of whatever. And I can just have it on my phone and access it at any point. You know, it's the little things, right? Honestly, I appreciate your insight, which has honestly helped me along my journey. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's like people don't get that even me doing this, it's like I learned so much about just people, about astrology, about spirituality, about where people are. Like my comment section, some days I'll be like, yo, this is really real life, just what's happening with the stars, like real time. I'm like, oh shoot, there's mad heads commenting on this. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yo, the moon's in Sag. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And like, it's moments like that. And it's with y'all that I end up like kind of co-creating this existence of being an astrologer. If I'm going to keep it a buck, you know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing for me to just notice stuff and just be like hiding away, being like, I just know it's going to go on. And it's another thing for me to be like, hey, yo, here's your astrology. Here's how this goes. Here's your specific chart. Here's your magic. Here's this consultation. If you don't have the funds or if you don't have the wherewithal to get a consultation right now, I have free stuff that I'll be putting out because I think it's so important for people to learn about this, because when you get those tools and when let's say you're having a bad day, right? And you really do know your birth chart. If you're having a really bad day and you know your birth chart, if you look at your transits, you'll be like, oh, that's what's happening. And not to say that changes it. Not to say that changes the thing that sucks. But what it does is that it puts you in the driver's seat for you to understand what's actually happening. Hey, what's up? Looking great. You know, I'll be coming up here sometimes talking before I be going to take a nap because I'm tired, but it'd be like that. Regardless, I'm watching this for a reason. Thank you for your energy. Thank y'all for yours. It says genuine support real time. Like if everybody in this live stream was watching this afterward, was all in one place, we have some popping energy in there of just dope people really explaining and really tapping into like their depths, and like that's something that's going to be happening moving on further as we get deeper into the age of Aquarius. I would love to have those things and host those things, and in the best case I would love to just be like, yo, let me fly y'all out and figure something out. You know what I'm saying? But that's a step-by-step thing. Mercury and Virgo reminds you, when you see that long-form thing, it's step-by-step. Because if you take it legitimately, step-by-step, that's when the universe actually gives you those manifestations. When you start thinking, and I wrote something about this on Threads earlier, actually. I'm like, a lot of people think manifestation is just like, this is what I want. 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 I want this thing. Why isn't this love coming in? Why isn't this money coming in? Because it's like, it's selfish. It's inherently selfish. It doesn't serve anything else but yourself in those actual processes. It's literally when it's like, okay, how can I serve everybody else? Right? Don't say fly out. You're right. I'm too cute to say that. I ain't gonna fly nobody else. You are right. I appreciate you. I'm too cute to say that. I ain't flying none of y'all out. Y'all gonna get here, but I hope. You get what I'm saying, though. But for real, like, I love that kind of awareness. This awareness exists in you. That's why you're watching this. If people didn't actually have the like actual wherewithal to like understand what I'm saying, y'all wouldn't be here. And that's what I'm saying is like the things that you resonate with, the things that you like feel and what's going on, that's what's going to be leading you through. And if you know your chart, you know how that's working with you. If you know your energy, you know why that exists for you. And so, like I said, if you are interested in actually getting a reading with me, etc., feel free to go get the link. I ended up doing my main flagship reading, which is the best one to do, to be fair. And that's going to be going through all your astrology. That's an hour. But because I know a lot of people, because you know, governments, the people of the nation that pretend to, anyway, those people are tripping right now. I also ended up putting out another one for people that might be a little bit more beginner and may not have it. It's going to be half the price of my main one. So, like, the whole concept of this and the whole reason why this is because, like, in my mind, this is a service first. This is like a real service first basis because, like, if I'm not here being able to deliver this information to y'all and it doesn't make sense, what's the point, right? There's so many people over time where they'll sit there and like watch. You know what I'm talking about though. Like there'll be seminars people sign up for and it's like I try to learn something and I learn nothing from this. Like I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna keep it a stack. Keep it a whole stack. There was a person very popular, right? Very, very popular life coach kind of thing. And they're like, yo, I'm gonna have the seminar, right? I signed up for it. I was like, let me see what's up. You know, it was a free one. I'm like, let me see what's up, this, that, and the third. And at the end of it, after like really looking at that, I was like, this is a scammer. It was a whole hour. And I'm just like, this dude's a scammer. Okay. Kept it pushing, right? But then I'm watching everybody else and I'm like, I know not everybody has maybe learned their astrology or maybe like had those like type of real situations happen at first, but it's like that's why it's so important for you to trust that gut feeling. You get what I'm saying? Part of the reason why this stuff's for free. Go ahead and check it out for free. If you end up like checking in, that's that. I stopped signing up for those because I'm saying there's like so. And now I'm granted, let's take this back. There is a free thing that I'm going to be talking to y'all about, but that's the real deal. Why? Because I went through the whole entire process of 6+ months to see it all the way through. That's the real deal. And when I see something that's real, or when I see something, and if you see me put my name on anything like that, it's because I actually believe in it. And if that's just the case, right? Do you also do tarot readings? Talk to me directly or email. Like, not email me. I don't email. I do email, but you know. Shout out for my email list. I'll be sending stuff. But it's always just so weird. It feels foreign a lot of the times, but that's in the process. I know tarot very well. If you're really interested in the reading, like feel free to reach out. We can figure something out. But I just don't prefer to do it for everybody because astrology is always going to give you a better answer. That's just my personal take from learning and teaching both astrology and tarot. I don't think people understand. Like, I've taught tarot for like 2 years. Like I understand it, but like I don't think it serves people as well because usually with tarot, like it's like well, is he gonna like me? And it's like, okay, do you like yourself? Do you actually even know what you want? Do you actually know what's like going on in the intricacies of like who you are as a person for you to actually accept somebody to come in and love you? No. Astrology might be able to help with that. That's why I have the free Venus book out. That's why I have like all of that. You get what I'm saying? And like that's just the real part of it. You know what I mean? Tarot is ruthless. Get the right astrologer. Get the right astrologer. Nah, but honestly, like that's the thing is that people. One thing I don't like when it's just tarot is that it's like, all right, I'm just here to answer a question, right? And there's some tarot. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some tarot readers that be mad dope with it. That'd be so dope with it. They'll be like, they'll pull like 30 cards and be like, this is your life. And you're just sitting there like, don't get me wrong. There's some nice people. I'm only speaking from my experience and I've been everywhere from corporate spirituality to I'm doing this out of my room that I grew up in. I've been on all parts of it, so I really do understand. Which is why I'm like, let me get this to y'all so y'all don't have to like run into the same crap I've seen and have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Someone said Deborah is one of the very few people that you trust with that, because that's an OG. That's an OG. Like, she's been doing this for years. She's earned that 100%. And that's where it's like, you know, but once more, that's the person that actually taught me that concept where it's like day by day by day. That's what it is. There's nothing more personal than astrology. There's nothing more personal than love. There's nothing more personal than love. And I think astrology is one of the easiest pathways to find your self-love, because you're like, oh, shoot, this is how this works. Oh, that thing, that quirk that I had that other people thought was whatever is actually part of my skill. And it's like, when you just see where that falls in versus where someone else is trying to tell you what to do, that changes the course of like so much, just to be real with y'all. Interesting. I always was under the impression that personal tarot readings were much more personal than astrology. Because some astrologers suck. I'm sorry to say. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like some suck. Some are reading out a book for you. I ain't gonna put it past you. Like, that's real life. Like, I've seen it, and I'm like, yo, what? And me, I'm a purist. I'm like, well, you don't even know what you did. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, not everyone's built like that. Not everyone's doing that concept. You get what I'm saying? Never expect a yes or no. Do not give up your free will. Get your question and intention clear and take over responsibility. Ooh! But that's the thing. People don't want to do that. I want to learn more. I'm so intrigued. I got the books. I got the readings. I'm right here. But hey, what's up? In like probably like a couple hours of processing time to show up. Like, that's why it's so important. And I want to be like a resource for you all when it comes to astrology, when it comes to learning your own chart. And that's going to take time, but just show up as the real. Like, I just went live on a whim for probably like an hour. Just kicking legitimate facts to y'all. Not everyone's built like that. And that's not a problem, right? Some people need to have like a full-on itinerary. Some people need to have that. And there's moments where I do that as well. But I just think it's like, I think it's better to serve y'all in real time, to show you like, hey, this is what happens when you know your astrology. This is what happens when you like know thyself, which is the whole principle of what? Love. Because once you know yourself, you start finding legitimate love. One thing that I always, for the people, because I understand the culture that we in, right? But for the people that I genuinely know have found like that, like real lasting love, they just chose to be themselves. They gave up on trying to present. They literally gave up on like a certain thing. Like, one of the things I hate hearing, and yes, it's going to be a lot of y'all when I say this, one of the things I hate hearing is like, I don't see anything with that person happening, but like, so how do you know? How do you know? Well, they're just not this, they're just not that. I'm like, yo, like, my joke I used to have with people, I'm like, you know, you probably swipe left on your soulmate, right? Like, that person that's like the ride or die, like the person that you really, you know, it's not just one person, but like the joke that I have is that it's like, oh, you probably just swiped left on someone who would literally do and be there for you throughout everything, because you're like, I just don't like how their hair is swiped. Then you're over there being like, no one likes me. What's going on? Right? There are people that have been in a whole best friendships with somebody for like 8 years, and they can't move or do things without each other, and they're just like, we just can't be together. Just wouldn't make sense. It'd ruin our friendship. It's like, shut up. Y'all just kids. Figure it out. Y'all mad weird. No, I understand that people have different energies, but this is just one of those things that I think will sit for a lot of people. I've done that, and then I say stuck on people not meant for me, because a lot of times when that happens, and this is a Venus retrograde lesson, right? A lot of the times when that happens, and I'm gonna keep it so real with y'all don't like that person. Y'all don't like the person at hand. Y'all don't like the person at hand. However, that person brought out part of you that you normally don't see, that you really enjoyed. And you're like, oh, I love when I'm around this person because it brings this out of me. It's like, nah, that's you. If you don't like them, if they don't bring anything else, that's just you. And what permission did you give yourself in that circumstance? But what if you gave yourself permission at all times? What if you gave yourself permission at all given points? You know what I'm saying? It changes the perspective. You know what I mean? I have a feeling that's going to happen to me. What's my life path number? I'm a master. I am though, but that's all I'm gonna say. But regardless, but the whole concept, right? It's like, this is real life. And as I explained this plethora of so many things throughout this live stream, that's Mercury and Virgo. We're finding details in so many places, and where do all those details lead back to? You. And what you want to do and what you want to put out into the world. Little light bulb moment for me. That is what I'm here for. My last relationship is the only time I gave myself permission to be vulnerable. Right now, nope. First of all, let's bring this back. Let's bring this back. I got you right now. Let's bring this back. Because I know a lot of people be feeling like this. Let's bring this back. Let's bring this back. Let's bring this back. I finally gave myself permission to be vulnerable. Now I can never be vulnerable again. So you missing out on the actual people that you want. Because maybe that wasn't the actual vulnerability. You were being vulnerable to what they needed or what you thought that they needed. Because if you're being vulnerable to and with yourself, that's self-love. You get what I'm saying? So in sum, after I get off this live, what should I do? Mercury and Virgo is all about steps. You go ahead, you click off this, you find my profile, you click on the thing that says the store. You go, you find every ebook that's free, if this is the case, right? And you download them. Have them on your phone, have them on your computer. These are free resources and things that I really try to get where I'm like, this is what most people are worried about, right? So I did that and I put that out for free. That's for you. Second thing, if you want, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Recently, I've been running into like some tech things and everything else like that. So I've been doing a lot more IG lives, but sign up for the YouTube because I have older stuff on my YouTube too, right? Third thing is just stay tuned because I'm going to be posting stuff. So if you want to share some love, whatever the case is, like feel free to just pop up. Showing a comment does a lot more than you would ever think. You get what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't be reaching like the numbers that we have. And I'm saying we because I think this is really a group effort. I don't consider my profile like just me. Like it's a real life group effort of where the collective is at, and I'm just doing my best to like present that for y'all. So to be real, that's kind of where that's at. But that took a long time. It took a very long time for me to be like, oh shoot, this is really service first. And I love doing this because I feel good being able to show other people like something that I've loved and I've always done, you know? Y'all keep asking questions, so I'm gonna be up here for a minute. Screw it. This is Mercury and Virgo real time. Like I'm answering questions. I'm like, here it is, here's this, and when I get tired, I'll leave. Until then, let's screw it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of info in this though. So if you watching this now, if you're just checking it out now, please make sure that you watch this again because I've dropped gems for about 40 minutes so far. To be honest, my phone gonna die eventually, so we're doing this real fire sign style today. Do you think people with detrimental places could just be attracted to the wrong things? No, I don't. I think it's all you. Like, I'm going to be so honest. Because there's things that you, like, think are attractive. Or, like, oh, this is my type. And that's not your type. Like, sure. But when someone says that they have a type and everyone in their type destroys their life a little bit, respectfully, is that really your type? Or are you still in the program of whatever they told you when you were a kid? Or are you still in the program of like, oh, this person is like, like, I think when we put too many limits on that, I got you. I'm going to tell you my favorite quote that somebody ever told me. They're like, yo, I'm sorry. This is funny. I hope this at least helps somebody. I think it was a comedian that was talking about it at some point. And I love comedy because comedy people literally have a really good grip on reality. And that's why when they're like, people are so sensitive, it's like, yeah, you're being too real. They don't like it. Regardless, but the concept of it, he was basically like, yo, y'all over here having so many things where it's like, they have to be this, they have to be this. And they were like, yo, sit down and be humble like your mom who ended up rocking with them in the first place. And it was like, it was only funny because in my head, I'm like, so many people have like unrealistic expectations when all they want is love and understanding. And they're like, I want love and understanding from this emotionally unavailable person that I knew was emotionally unavailable at the first point, but I want to change them. That's Mercury and Virgo at their worst. It's Mercury and Virgo at their worst. So like, I know all the things to fix them. It's like, no, you don't. Because if you think you got to fix somebody else, the call's coming from inside the house. Everybody been there. That's why it's so real. Everyone's been there. Everyone's been there. You know what I'm saying? Know me. Why look like I got a slit in my eye? I'm that pretty. Look at that. That just naturally occurred. No, anyway. So it's like having no expectations is top tier. Having no expectations but maintaining the boundaries that are important is what's top tier. Because you might be chilling with someone like, I don't really know if that's going to work out. And they might become like your best friend in the world. And it's like, well, why wouldn't I want to be with my best friend? Oh, that's weird. Oh. Like, for real. Like, people be looking at it wrong. Not, don't need to expose me like that. It's everybody. It's everybody. Because astrology is like, it's up. So when people are like, you know. Anyway, I'm dating someone emotionally unavailable now, and I'm trying to change it. Hit me up and let me know how that goes by the end of Venus retrograde in Leo. If it works, dope. If it don't work, the call is coming from inside the house. Because how many people do you know when you're talking to your girls and they're like, oh my God, like this guy, like he's really terrible, but I think he might, I saw him talk to the person in the store and he wasn't rude. Where's the bar? Where's the bar? So I'm not saying that these circumstances can't work. But when I just see people, you literally commented this being like, I don't think this is going to work. So what are you doing? Like, Mercury Virgo's like, what's going on? What are the details? If you make your pros and cons list and it's all cons and like 3 pros, you've already done the math. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, and people, the reason why tarot I think gets tricky is because people already know the math and they're just like, but I just need like the universe to tell me. It's just out of all love because I really understand where it comes from. For real. I've been doing this for a minute. But like that's the whole idea, you know what I'm saying? If someone is really interested in you, he shows you. Oh, let's read this again. If someone's really interested in you, she shows you. Let's read this one more time. If someone is interested in you, they show you. Want to know why? Do you want to know? Because if they're interested, you know. If they want to talk to you, they will talk to you. If you're here playing politics like, I need them to text me first, then do you like them like that? Oh, but they haven't texted me in 2 days. Have you said something? Have you said something? I thought you cared. Why didn't you say something? Well, he's supposed to. Vice versa. He, they, she, etc. don't matter. This is just people. At the end of the day, these are human beings trying to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? LMAO, I'm like, he hits me up every other month and barely texts me. You better download that Venus book. That's all I'm going to say to you. I'm going to tell you get the remix. You better download that Venus book. It is for free. And that's when you honor your Venus. And that's what Venus retrograde is about. Refining your confidence. When you honor your Venus. When you honor your capacity of love. When you honor what you like with aesthetic. When you honor all of these kind of things. The people that you like keep showing up. The people that you like keep popping up. And then it's not a matter of like, is it this? Is it that? It's a matter of like, that's that? Okay. And that's why Mercury and Virgo, back to the topic, is about figuring out the reality of what's there, right? As Momo and Nailisa said, you deserve so much better. And if I have to say that too, it's going to be like, hey, I'm just saying you could do better. But genuinely speaking, it's like, if there's not something that's actually like affirming you, if it's not like holding your heart in a way that you're willing to hold their heart, it's not finna work. And it's okay if you just want to be out here smashing and bashing, just be respectful. Be respectful. That's it. If you're out there smashing and bashing, let other people know. Let's just be like, hey, this is what it's at. And if they're cool, they're cool. If they don't like it, they can go. They can go. It don't matter. Don't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? And if there's some dude who's like, I don't believe in what you like, and you're like, well, I can change that. No, you can't. No, you can't. Because they can't change that about you. It's okay. We in 2023. Pro ho, get married, whatever you want to do, live your life. But make sure that you find what that love means for you. And I know this is about Mercury and Virgo, but Mercury and Virgo has been saying, hey, get into that Venus retrograde stuff because it is a real transit. People are used to Mercury retrogrades. They're not used to Venus retrogrades. They're not used to it. So that's why I really wanted to like give y'all a lot of content. I'm going to post more memes on it still too because I see a lot of y'all are having that problem, especially this summer. But yeah, this hot girl summer is hey, maybe I need to love myself better. Because once you love yourself, those people that you actually want pull up. And maybe that's someone who's just like, hey, what are you doing after 7? And you're just cool with that. Or maybe it's someone being like, hi, I knew this was your favorite chocolate, so I drove 4 states away in order to get this for you because I like you. It doesn't matter. There's just find what works for you. Because if you look at a male podcast or a female podcast and you listen to that relationship stuff and you think that that's real, that is all the most hurt people in the world. Trying to tell you how something works because they're hurt. You know what I'm saying? If you have a very, very specific question, feel free to pop up to like get a reading, everything else like that. I will go through that with you 100%. I just don't have the same thing like I was saying before where I'm like, I would love to talk about the signs, but this is impacting everybody. So I want to make sure that this is like an everybody time to get everybody's like general things in, just to let y'all know. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like it's BS respectfully. It sounds like somebody made it up. Be aware of the difference between the real of a product and the marketing. It just sounds like something that somebody made. I don't know if this is real or not, but like sometimes I'll be looking at stuff and I'm like, that don't look right. Anyway, I'm about to head out because my phone is like, hey man, oh what's up? How you doing? Much love. But my phone is like, hey, screw you. I know you wanted to go live, but you've been going live for longer than you thought you were, and that's completely fine. But I appreciate all the love and the people showing up for this for real. And thank y'all for the support on the content, everything else. There have been some really cool names that are starting to see it too. And that's like, but it really goes back to y'all. You get what I'm saying? Like, it really goes back to like, if I did this whole live stream and everybody who's been in here this whole time got nothing from it, I failed. And then that's, okay, now I need to go back and do that self-work so I can help the other people out. I see hearts. I see people commented. I saw someone be like, please stay for just a bit more. That's a testament to me. That's like, okay, the inner work's happening so the outer work can go. And if you can just look at that during this Mercury and Virgo as like input, output, like, well, I put my heart into it and I got some love back. Cool. Okay, I just got some love from this. How can I go help them with this? And it's funny because it breaks down and it's just like good morals and manners. That's magic. Good morals and manners. Just letting y'all know. Anywho, thank you for going overtime. That's why people who got and read this for me, we be going over an hour. I ain't gonna lie. But my whole thing is that if you trust me with an hour of your time, we can go over if we get there. Right? Why? Because that's just a service. Like give the people what they want. Nah, but for real, that's what helps. But yes, Mercury Virgo has been live. Please make sure that y'all watch this afterward. I know I'm almost going to get into ramble territory, and I don't want to do that today. But I will dismiss this off with like much love to you all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting me, sharing the things that you have been. It's been surreal. To be honest, because we're at the end of this, I doubled my follower count in like a week, and then I've reached like 2 million people in the last little bit. So it's been really surreal, and obviously I'm gonna continue to just do the work because that's all it is at this point. But I do appreciate you all, especially the day ones, people that are new, etc., who have just shown in, have interest in astrology, have interest in learning something new. And I'm gonna keep it a stack with y'all because like just too much BS. I hate seeing it. So I'm about to sign out. If y'all are just popping in, make sure that you check this live stream out afterward. And yeah, I'm gonna go write that Mercury retrograde book soon. I have other video editing stuff to do. But appreciate the love. Thank you all for showing up. Until next time. New follower here, happy to be here. Thank you for sharing your gifts. Thank you, much love. Please make sure that you check out this whole live stream afterward. And everybody go get a reading today. Just buy a reading. If everyone buys a reading, I can do so much cooler stuff. That's really, I promise you that's like my locus of things. I'm like, if people just buy readings, I can do cooler readings. We can do this on the fanciest equipment. We could just do more stuff. So if that goes to show where just the heart's really in it, appreciate y'all. And thank you for the love. I'm going to go drink some water. Okay, thanks.